That was fun. Another fun one. A 129 to 101 victory in Charlotte tonight. Technically, it's now yesterday because as I'm recording, it is well past midnight. I won't tell you the time, but happy Thanksgiving. It's a good way to start Thanksgiving by talking about a Knicks victory. The Knicks swarm the Hornets in Charlotte, in Buzz City, I guess now last night. Again, 129 to 101. So another road victory for this team. They're starting to pick some up. Granted, one was Dallas, one was in New York City, and one's Charlotte. Thanks, LaMelo Ball, for playing the way you did. But the Knicks won this game like it was a home game because there were Knicks fans everywhere in the building tonight. You had free throw line chants in the Knicks' favor, and this was just a game that felt good because the Knicks dominated. I don't want to say from start to finish because it was close at points in the first half, but they were pretty dominant for most of the night. It was a night where the defense was much better. It was a strong performance from this defense who has been struggling without OG. Offensively, kind of in a different light, getting into the paint, not hunting mid-range looks, but getting into the paint and taking what was given. You didn't need the high 3-point volume tonight. I think it was a season low 25 3-point attempts for the Knicks. Because Charlotte was creating the Knicks easy 2-point looks, so the Knicks took it. Mikal Bridges had himself a great night. We're going to talk about him. Karl Anthony Towns was good. We'll talk a little bit about him in a sec. Deuce McBride had an outstanding shot-making night. Nothing but net all night long. 19 points. He's 5 for 5 from deep in this game. It wasn't, just a couple of nights ago, I forget which game it was. Might have been the Orlando game. I'm not sure. I don't even think they had him for that. It was a couple of nights ago. Deuce was missing everything. So it's nice to see the positive regression there. 5 for 5 from 3. I love that he's starting in the starting lineup. That's great for the spacing. And speaking of Jalen Brunson, yes, a high volume night, but buckets are buckets, right? He's still missing his threes, and that's yet to really consistently come around. He was 2 for 6 tonight. Didn't make his free throws tonight. He was 3 out of 5. He had some moments defensively where he was hunted off screens, but 33 points on 50% at the end of the day, I'll take it for my captain on a bad night. You can just like watching Jalen Brunson out there, watching him in this game, you can really see how much easier it is for him to get buckets. How easy it's coming for him this year in this new offense with the constant cutting and the spacing off of those cuts. It helps him in ISOs, in drives, handoffs, pick and rolls. His first basket of the night, he gets a wide open paint in transition because the Knicks have 3 guys spaced on the left side of the floor. He's coming up on the right wing, gets by one defender, and the entire paint's open for him with all that space. Second basket of the night for Brunson. He's on the left side of the floor in the half court. Yabusele makes a 45 cut to clear out the help side defender. Brunson drives, doesn't have that extra defender tagged to him, spins and knocks down a pull-up. Third basket of the night, comes off a couple of screens and a get action, just et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. Really getting good looks this season. And in the second unit, Clarkson, some needed buckets at the top of the second quarter again. But again, it's the defense. It's the defense that's just been especially brutal from him lately. Had a moment, but Yabusele was whatever again. And Tyler Kolek, who we will talk about again. But, I skipped over Josh Hart because that's where I want to start now. Josh Hart got the start over Mitch Robinson. So it was Brunson, Towns, Mikal, Deuce, and Hart. Was it because Mitchell Robinson's coming back from the illness? Was it matchup dependent? We'll see. But it's the original starting 5 plus Deuce McBride. So that was cool that Hart thrived in this lineup. And the best version of this offense, and we've been singing this from the mountaintops like a fat lady. The best version of this Knick offense comes when Josh Hart is doing the things that he needs to do. Right? When we talk about the Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, the cross matching and the switching and the spacing and the shooting, all that stuff, when they share the floor together, there are ways to not completely erase the deficiencies that come of it, but they are a positive net rating, in that lineup for a reason, because there are ways to mitigate it, right? And I thought, at least for a night, the Knicks and Josh Hart executed those ghost coverages and the cross matches perfectly tonight. They were really exploiting that. And I thought that there are a number of ways to exploit that, right? There is movement in the half court, full court opportunities, Josh Hart making the entry pass to Towns on the post, and Hart taking open 3-point looks, right? And we're going to talk about all of that because you kind of saw a little bit of all that in this game, right? When you talk about motion in the half court, right? You want off-ball motion, you want ball movement to force the opposing 5 to be mobile. Get him in action, get him moving. And in this instance, it was Kalkbrenner. Is that his name? In the first quarter, one of the first baskets of the game, one of the first couple of baskets for the Knicks, it's a Josh Hart, Karl Towns give and go off of Towns' back screen. Kalkbrenner's late getting over the top of the screen, so he's late to close out. Hart gets an open cut off the catch because they put the big in action. Moving in the half court. Again, the full court opportunities, when I say that, creating offensive opportunities with your defense. So Charlotte doesn't have time to set their half-court defense up and do what they want with the cross-matching and the ghost coverages, right? You had plenty of full-court opportunities throughout the game where that was displayed. In the first quarter alone, 2 possessions in a row where Josh Hart got fast break layups, right? There was a possession where Mikal gets a deflection when he was in help. That leads to a steal. He passes to Hart on the break. And then I think the very next possession, Josh Hart jumps the pass lane weak side. It's a steal and slam for him. So that was beautiful to see. And again, you had a couple of times where Josh Hart was the one throwing the entry to Cat on the post. That's key. When Cat is posting and you're putting Josh Hart on the weak corner, that's not really the best spot for him to be when he's off ball, because that guy knows Josh Hart's not the strongest 3-point shooter, and he knows that he's not the most aggressive shooter, so he's going to bring help. And now Hart's just kind of useless over there where he could at least be on the dunker and provide an offensive rebound. When Josh Hart's throwing the entry pass to Towns on the post, that potential help defender is right there. Cat can read that help rotation. Right, so I think that's a great way to exploit defenses when they're sharing the floor. Cat can see the help rotation coming. It's not coming from the backside. It's not coming from the weak side. Or just simply because of that, the defense chooses not to send help at all to the post because they know Cat can see it right there and just make a decision out of it. So I thought you saw examples of that, right? And it's also a good way to exploit that type of coverage because Josh Hart is very good at cutting into space. But in the first quarter of the game, the Hornets, there was a possession where they switched the screen. Towns posts the switch. Josh Hart throws the entry. There's no help, so Towns gets an easy finish at the basket and one-on-one. Same thing, second quarter. Towns posts Diabate. Hart throws the entry. There's no help. Cat draws contact at the basket and one-on-one. It was late help from LaMelo. Another second quarter possession. Charlotte switches the screen again. Towns posts the small. Hart throws the entry. Once again, there's not much help to come, so he finishes at the basket and one-on-one. Another second quarter possession. There was one where Towns was posting Miles Bridges. Hart throws the entry, and then off the entry, Hart makes a back cut to remove the helper from doubling the post. So now Towns has clear space and a face-up where he can see everything. Beautiful. And then last but not least, again, the biggest part of this whole thing, and this is the most important part of tonight, Josh Hart taking the open three-point looks that he's given. That's the key. When he's aggressive, and most importantly, a lot of the time it's when he's aggressive early in the game, so he commands that respect the rest of the game, that's going to open up the floor. In the first quarter, there was a possession. Kalkbrenner leaves Hart wide open on the weak corner. It's a Hart catch and shoot spray three. He knocks it down. In the second quarter, it's one of the guys off the bench, McNeely. He stunts off of Josh Hart to stop Brunson, and then he goes under the ball screen. Hart gets space, knocks down a corner. In the fourth quarter, LaMelo Ball sends help to the nail to Brunson. Brunson makes the kick to Hart on the wing. Catch and shoot three, he knocks it down. The best offense for your New York Knicks come when Josh Hart's being aggressive, when the Knicks are moving and playing smart. And it's also, like we've talked about in the past, you didn't see it this game, but another way to exploit when Hart has the big on him is to get him in action as the screener, right? This way you get the big out of the paint and up on the perimeter. That opens up that painted area. So I thought they did a lot of that. And this is going to be important going forward, right? Especially without spacers like Anunoby and Shamet. To have Josh Hart, who knows how long he's going to start, but it's important that he continues to play this way. Now, we do need to remember it is the Charlotte Hornets, so they don't really have, the Hornets don't really have a long, physical, big wing player to disrupt Towns, right? Towns is not great with those physical wings. Josh Hart is also not going to shoot, 4 out of 6 every night on his threes, and unfortunately, he's not always going to be this aggressive on his threes. Also, it's let's be honest, the true best version of this team, of this offense, is when Cat is taking threes in 5-out space, right? But obviously, again, the Knicks aren't healthy right now, so you're not going to get a ton of that. But yes, Josh Hart, great. And I'm going to hand him tonight's game ball because he deserved it from the first unit. And Josh Hart's final line of the night, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 turnovers, 3 steals, 8 for 13 shooting, 2 for 2 from the foul line. Again, 4 for 6 from 3. He was a plus 20 in 34 minutes. So that is now 6 game balls on the season for Josh Hart. 5 of them have come playing off the bench, and tonight was his first as a starter. And in the NBA Cup this season, Josh Hart, who I remember has been playing well in Cup games, I remember from last year, but in the NBA Cup, in 3 games this year, 11, 7, and 6, and he's shooting 63% from 3 in these 3 Cup games. So that's 6, not 5. If you're watching the video, that's an error. He has 6 game balls now on the season. So that's good for Josh Hart. Now, I want to talk about another Knick wing who was outstanding tonight, and that is Mikal Bridges. I thought Mikal was everywhere tonight. I did. Hold on one second. Computer is almost, my tablet's about to crash. Hold on. All right, I think we're good. Santa Claus, I want a new tablet. Where were we? Mikal, he was everywhere. Offensively, defensively, I thought he was great. I thought offensively, when he was on the ball, he displayed some good patience in the pick and roll with Mitch. He had a couple of baskets out of the 3-5. There was a possession where he ran a 1-3 with Kolek, and he slipped the pick and roll for a finish. He had a couple of post fadeaways in the mid range. That's been his bread and butter. And then another strength of his is that movement shooting from off the ball, coming towards the ball, getting it, pulling it. A couple of those baskets, and then I counted, I think, maybe 4 transition finishes. And a lot of the time that's his defense leading to good offense, right? And I think his defense this year, not only has he thrived in Mike Brown's system offensively, I think the gap scheme is really helping him thrive defensively because he's able to play in help and less at the point of attack. So he's not having to always be on the ball, and he's able to use his wingspan more effectively in the pass lanes this way. He had 3 steals on the night. There was one in the first quarter where he sends help off LaMelo, who was on the wing, helps on the drive to force the turnover. There is a possession in the fourth quarter, hell of a steal, just good awareness. He catches LaMelo off guard in the backcourt, steals it, gets an easy bucket out of it. And he had 2 blocks on the night. He swats the shit out of Brandon Miller in the first quarter from underneath the basket. And then in the third quarter, I thought was the best sequence of his night. Just an outstanding 2-way sequence where he makes a really tough closeout along the baseline where he could have easily overclosed, but he stays balanced, stays on his feet, stays in front of his man, ends up blocking Miles Bridges' shot. After the block, he sprints back down on the other end, beats all 9 guys on the floor. He's at the basket for an easy finish in transition. Complete hustle. 18 more efficient points is great, but you love the way he's playing with just so much aggression on the defensive end, and 5 more stocks in a season where he's been the stocks king on this team. 2.1 steals a night, 1.2 blocks a night. Both of those figures are career highs, but in his last 6, 3.2 steals, 2 blocks per game. So really nice to see that from Mikal Bridges as a guy who struggled last year finding his footing, just completely flipping the script. And he flipped the script in the playoffs. He had some good moments, but really the complete 180 is what we're seeing this year. Going to the second unit, back to the second unit, for a second consecutive night, I got to say I was impressed with Tyler Kolek's minutes. Tyler Kolek, now 2 game balls on the season, back-to-back game balls for him. 7 points, 3 assists, 1 turnover. He shoots 3 for 4, 1 for 1 from 3. He was a plus 15 across 15 minutes. He scores all his points in garbage time, but for me, it was the passing and the defense. It was the defense. Listen, Tyler Kolek, for him to stay on the floor, just because the way the rotation is constructed, where there's a lot of small guards coming off the bench and Brunson still. So he's going to have to play defense as hard as he can to stay on the floor. With his limitations, with being undersized, he's not going to be very switchable. He's going to get caught on some ball screens. So it's tough to play him with certain guys that play a lot of minutes already. So he needs to fight He needs to scrap, scratch, claw, and I thought he did that tonight. I thought he was fighting to stay attached on screens. I thought he was holding his own on some switches and some ISOs. Made a nice defensive play in the third quarter. I think he blocked a shot in the fourth quarter, although it's not recorded on his stat sheet. So it must have been just a forcing a miss. But yeah, I thought he played good defense, and that's good to see. It's going to help him stay in the rotation and play more minutes. Again, just because of the way the rotation's constructed, you're not going to see a ton of Kolek. If obviously Brunson's going to get his 35, Clarkson's going to play. It's tough, but he needs to play defense to stay in the rotation, and he is. In the passing, that continues to be his best strength. It's his skill set as a passer. He can read help very well. He can hit the skip. He can command pick and roll effectively. Third quarter, he found Mikal Bridges off a slip in the half court. We mentioned that. He found his guys in transition well. Second quarter, he throws a transition lob to Bridges. In the fourth quarter, he hits Towns on the low post from the half court. Nice to see the scoring stuff. Like we mentioned last episode, even if it was garbage time, he did convert a floater out of pick and roll with him and Huck Porty. Talked about the impact of a point guard needing a floater. Knocked out a pull-up jumper over McNeely at the nail. Comes out of DHO, pulls over McNeely, knocks it down. We talked about the impact of having a pull-up shot as a point guard last episode. And then he knocks down a transition trail three in the final possession or two of the game. Had a good three-point shot in college, so hopefully that starts to come around, hopefully, because he's going to need that. But yeah, he's getting a real opportunity here with the Shamet news that just came out. It's going to be at least a month before he's reevaluated, so Kolek has a chance, Excuse me. Huck Porty hasn't done anything. He's not done enough to warrant the playing time. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Bacom Dadier was kind of a dud pick. The organization doesn't play him for a reason. Diawara, we'll see. Yabu certainly looked like a dud pick or signing. So you need someone who can create advantages for others when Brunson's not on the floor. So hopefully Kolek can shine in these next handful of games here and stays on the floor enough to be a credible player for this team and a good backup point guard. But yes, that's it. I think we've touched on everything we wanted to touch on in this one. Nice little win in Charlotte. Coming up next for the Knicks, you're wrapping up the month of November with 2 home games. They're off tomorrow on Thanksgiving, but they go back out there on Friday at the Garden to play the Milwaukee Bucks. It's a 7:30 p.m. game. I believe it's another cup game. And I think Giannis probably returns in this game, so I would expect, because of that, Mitchell Robinson to start for that assignment. And then after the Bucks on Friday, you have a day off Saturday, and you're back out there Sunday at the Garden to host the Toronto Raptors. 6 p.m. game there. So playing 2 good teams who are playing good ball. But yeah, the Bucks tomorrow. The Bucks on Friday. That's the next time the Knicks will play ball. So with that said, we will head to a quick break, get back, and wrap this one up with our trivia question here in episode 933. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to episode 933. We are going to wrap this one up here with our trivia question of the day. And that is, in Carmelo Anthony's 62-point game against the Bobcats, how many rebounds did he grab? In Carmelo Anthony's 62-point game against the Bobcats, how many rebounds did he grab? I don't know if it's just me, but I was such a big fan of Melo. Some of his more iconic Knicks games, I remember the exact stat line for each of them. Like, I know the 50-piece against the Heat, he was 18 for 26 from the floor, 7 to 10 from 3, 10 for 10 at the foul line. All 18 of his field goal makes were jumpers. Like, I just remember so many specific moments. And then against the Bobcats, he 62 on 23 for 35 shooting. I think he was 6 for 11 from 3. Just no assists, no turnovers. Some of his, I was huge with Melo, partially because the Knicks were so bad during that era. At least the later years, he was the only one to really watch for. So one final time, in Carmelo Anthony's 62-point game against the Bobcats, how many rebounds did he grab? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out on the next show. Folks, that is all we got as the Knicks swarm the Hornets in Charlotte. Did I spell Charlotte wrong? Why do I feel like that's spelled incorrectly? It just looks like it's spelled wrong. Okay. It's spelled correctly. We're good. Thank goodness. All right, folks. I appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving tomorrow. Make sure you sit down and appreciate it, and realize how thankful you should be. And enjoy it with your families. Eat good food. Watch football. That's what I'm going to do. So lose some money on betting. Go Knicks. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.